Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Unqualified Typist channel, your favorite keyboard aficionado that is wholly unqualified to give expert opinions, but likes to share them anyway. Today we're going to be looking at a very interesting switch. These are the Epomaker Jade Blossoms, which were the first linear switch I ever bought. I bought these alongside a number of other switches from Epomaker and KTT back in early 2023, as these were some of the only switches you could find on Amazon, and I was still a little scared, a little apprehensive on buying switches from sites where I didn't know if the return policy was going to allow me to just return them if I didn't like the feeling. And while I might not be the biggest fan of Amazon's business practices, I can't say the same about their return policies. You know, they help in a sense, or if you're not the biggest fan of the product, you might not like them, you can just return them. So I ended up buying a bunch of Epomaker and KTT switches because they're very readily available on Amazon. Now we might be hearing, oh, you bought a bunch of Epomaker switches? You might look at the title of the video. So, am I gonna answer my own clickbait? Yeah, I'm gonna answer my own clickbait. I know it's not the best for viewer retention, but I can't lie to you guys. These are, in my opinion, from all the Epomaker switches I've ever tried, by far the best. Better than the Flamingos, the Wisterias, the Budgerigars, the Shadow Blacks, and also the Sea-Doo matte switches that I also tried. And I feel like these also trade blows with some very nice switches that are darlings in the mechanical keyboard hobby. Just a little spoiler for the next switch review. So, enough glazing, let's take a closer look at these switches. The Jade Blossoms are a linear switch that interestingly is offered in 3 different weights. You have a 35 gram force, a 43 gram force, and the ones I have here with an actuation force of 53 grams. So we're looking at a factory loop switch with a palm, bottom, and top housing, a LY stem, which is an interesting material for their stem. You know, I looked up LY because I'd never heard about it before online, and I can't even find what the abbreviation means. What I could find online was that LY seems to be a proprietary blend of UHMWPE, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, made by the manufacturer JWK. Now, what does that mean for us consumers? Well, according to the marketing, it's the smoothest material currently on the market, with the lowest coefficient of friction. Big words from the marketing department at Epomaker. Are they true? Learn more at the end of the video. No booing, please. These have a 2mm pre-travel with a total travel of 3.6. They have a 53 gram actuation force with a 58 gram bottom out force. It's a 21mm dual stage spring. And they come out to be about 50 cents per switch, as they're sold in packs of 30 for $14.99. So not a budget switch per se, but you can often find them on discount on Amazon or Epomaker's own site. Let's take a deeper look at these switches. Now, when we're looking at interference, honestly, I don't notice any real perceptible contact. Therefore, I'd say there's no real interference. It should be fine in any north-facing PCB with cherry keycaps. Have a little listen. Overall, these are a very tight switch with minimal horizontal and vertical stem wobble, even when depressed. We see some minor keycap wobble, but it's not an amount that would in any way negatively impact your typing experience. Tiny disclaimer before our sound test: the sound of your keyboard will depend on how you build it. Things such as mounting style, foam utilization, plate material, all of those will alter the sound of your keyboard, and that should be kept in mind. I've put up all the specs of my keyboard on screen right now. these are, in my opinion, without a shadow of a doubt, very good switches. They have this deep, pleasing poppy sound that just scratches an itch in my brain. You know, they sound somewhat adjacent to popping bubble wrap, but I'm not gonna go that far and say they have that same satisfying appeal, but adjacent. Oh, and I just have to mention that they work great on all my keycaps. Like, no issues at all with a spacebar, a 6.2U spacebar, unlike some other linear switches I'm going to be reviewing soon that need a 70-gram spring for my keyboard. Not mentioning any names, you know. But back to their sound. Their poppy sound is most audible and prominent on top out, with an overall medium volume. They are incredibly smooth switches, as I mentioned, LY stem, even in their stock form, with a pretty decent loop job from the factory, no audible scratch or leaf ping. And they only really benefit from lubing if you want to quiet them down a little bit. Personal preference. And don't get me wrong, these aren't the most unique sounding switches. Being a somewhat deeper poppy sounding switch, you know, not the most groundbreaking, but they sound delectably pleasant. They're also not the cheapest switch, as I mentioned, especially looking at Epomaker's other switch offerings, but with them often going on sale and an overall quality of these, they get a definite recommendation from my part. Well, I've said my piece. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. I've been Unqualified Typist, and I'll see you in the next upload.